it was, a series of conversations that I had with friends and my local neighbors and my local young Senegalese friends, that I asked. I'm like, who are these boys that keep asking me for money? They're everywhere. They don't have shoes on. Some only have like an old T-shirt. And they look really just sad. They look really abused. Any kid who's walking around without shoes or pants, begging for money, is clearly being abused. And my American friends, I remember one American friend just saying, ugh, I don't touch them. They're disgusting. They're unclean. They're unbathed. And I'm like, well, abused kids will be like that. And then my older Senegalese neighbors were just like, it's tradition. We don't question tradition. They're boys, they need to suffer. And I was just like, oh, wow. I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to step on your toes. I'm a foreigner. But yeah, I don't think kids should be suffering like that. And so then I went and I spoke to my Senegalese young friends, and they were just like, yeah, it's a problem. And so basically I write what I witnessed, and then I have Ibrahima and Etienne witness it. And, imagine how a child who is maybe seeing it for the first time would respond to it. He'd be really interested. Like, look at this big Hummer, and look at the soldiers just sort of like, falling out of the Hummer, and this big bazooka. I remember when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is going on? This place looks like a war zone. What are all these bricks, And I had heard the big booms from my, room that I was renting. But I mean, I had never experienced that before coming from Boston, Massachusetts, in New York City. I moved to New York after undergrad. So I was going to get lunch, and when some of the soldiers saw me, they were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Lunch. Is the pastry shop open?" And he's like, "Get out of here! It's unsafe." And I was just like, "Okay, I guess I'm not eating lunch today." But it was really fascinating for me. I had only seen things like that like on TV, in the news. When I was in Senegal, there was this big drought in Niger that was like threatening food security, in the region or in the country. So, I play around with these very nonfiction things that happened during those years. And then I take these fictional characters, Ibrahima and Etienne, and his parents and his sisters and the other Taliban boys, and have them respond to this very real world in a way that that I witnessed and then in some ways imagined. One of my classes, we had to put together an elevator pitch for our books, and what I'd come up with for my 30-second elevator pitch is that No Heaven for Good Boys is a modern day Oliver Twist story that meets the Catholic priest scandal, but within Islam. And that my Oliver is Black and Muslim, he's African and Muslim, and he's actually not an orphan. I'm a believer in tradition and believe that society has this great role that it plays, but its inflexibility is where it really falters and fails. Like, tradition is great. It was started at some point, and then people kept doing it. But traditions can be changed. They can be updated. They can end, and you can create new traditions. But there's this sort of inflexibility. We don't like change. We like to just do the thing that was passed down. And I seek to challenge that, in ways, or just by highlighting it in the book.